All right. So good morning, everybody that's tuning in our live trading room. I hope you all had a good weekend, and good morning to everyone on YouTube. Let's get right at it with our A list for today. I think this could be a pretty busy Monday, and what's pretty exciting, guys, is that we're turning into another earnings week. Earnings week starts with the financials, and the financials start reporting on Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. So it's going to get really busy in the next couple of weeks as we have the stocks reporting Q1 earnings for 2021. So keep that in the back of your mind. Volatility is going to pick up. I know especially the last like 2-3 weeks, the market has been a little slow. There hasn't been a lot of volatility. It's been on a grind. Although the market has been grinding its way up to the upside, I think with earnings now coming around the corner, we're going to see much more volatility, at least the volatility that we'd like to see as day traders and even swing traders. So with that being said, the first stock I want to go over is Alibaba. So Alibaba last night or over the weekend, news came out that China has been just laying the hammer on Alibaba, and the final verdict just finally came in. They're fining Alibaba. I think it was like $2.8 billion. The CEO for Alibaba came out and essentially declared victory. Pretty much said, okay, we'll pay the fine, and this is not going to be detrimental in the long term for our company. What's the reaction? Stock is gapping up, 6% or however much percent. On Friday, it closed at 223. It's trading at 237.87 right now as we speak. Remember, this stock is a beaten down stock. Look at the daily chart. Pull up a 1 year on Alibaba. It's trading below its 200-day moving average. It actually, on the daily, this is pretty interesting. So we've got a bottoming here, like in the January time frame, and then when it's sold off again, you have bottoming action occur again. So could this potentially be a double bottom on Alibaba? Now that we kind of have the headwinds out of the way with the Chinese government and seeing what the final verdict is and how they're punishing Alibaba, I think this potentially could be a nice double bottom being set for Alibaba, and Alibaba can try to reclaim the 200-day moving average in the coming weeks. So with that being said, I really would love to see Alibaba rally today. It is gapping up, over 10 points. It's actually gapping up like 14 points. So we just got to be careful that maybe it's already done most of the move. But as we all know, we've traded Alibaba many times. Alibaba, when it gets a bid under it and when there's some momentum under it, it can really run. It can really move. So I'd like to see Alibaba. There's a key level that I want to see Alibaba hold, right? Is 235. If it can hold the 235 range and consolidate, maybe even bounce from that level, if we can test that level again and do like a bottoming tail bar off of it, that'd be pretty sweet. That would give me conviction to go long and throw my stops at 235. If Alibaba just out of the gates just rips, look for that breakout of like the 239, 240 range, because Alibaba, that's the pre-market high. If it rips out of that, it's gone. It's gone. So right now it's kind of like in a tight consolidation. It's in a 5-point consolidation between 235 and 240. So I don't want to get chopped up in that range. I want to see if it breaks either levels. If it breaks 235 and it doesn't hold, all right, maybe we can short it. But I honestly think it'll hold. If it does fall and break that 235, maybe you might see 231, 230. But I think it'll bounce off of that. Let me look at the 5-minute. Yeah. I think it'll hold, in my opinion. I could be wrong. But that's what I'm looking at for Alibaba. Alibaba is going to be an A-list stock for me. So I'm really looking forward to trading that one. IRTC. This company is getting hit pretty hard. IRTC came out with some news. Let me quote it correctly here. I actually threw it up on my. Let me read the news. I just want to quote it correctly. So, what's up with IRTC? Pretty much, the companies or shares are trading lower after the company said that it will not be able to provide its Zio XT device to Medicare patients if reimbursement rates remain unchanged. Pretty much, the way I'm understanding that is, with the current reimbursement rates that they get from Medicare, it's not sustainable to provide that product, right? So the stock is gapping down pretty hard on it. If you pull up a daily chart on this, I mean, you got to go back like 2 years to really see some key support levels. It is coming down to what looks like some nice consolidation and support, between the mid 80s and low 80s, maybe even the low 70s. So I want to see what it does at the open. If this thing if it could pop, that'd be pretty nice because the gap down is pretty extensive. If it could pop and then fail the pre-market low, I would like to go in for a short. But if this just drops right out of the gates, I can't chase it because it's already down like 50 points. It's already getting hurt pretty bad. If for whatever reason this starts to get bought up, we could probably go long, throw our stops at like 88, 89, and the first target for me would be the $95 range and then 100. That's in the event that it gets bought up. I don't know what's going to happen. I just mark those key levels for me to make a decision on the type of trade that I'm going to get in on. So IRTC is another one that's on my A list because I like the volatility on it. Another name is Uber. So Uber came out and said that the demand for rideshare is exceeding the amount of availability that drivers have. So in other words, there's greater demand, not enough supply of drivers, being able to support the demand for Uber. So Uber popped up, and I'd like to see Uber, if it breaks out of like the 59.75 range, I'd like to go long Uber and throw my stops at 59. I'm going to give it a 75-cent risk, and first target would be pre-market high, 60.50. And if you pull up a daily chart on this one, it's been consolidating pretty nicely, just kind of going sideways. If we see Uber just rip and really be strong, $61 would be my first target. After that, I mean, pretty much no real resistance until maybe about 63 and change. So that's what I'm looking at for Uber. And I think Uber will give us a nice day trade. If Uber fails 59 and just doesn't hold, and let's say the market is selling off, then you can short it at 59. But you'd have to put your stops at like 59.75 in my opinion. So I like that for Uber. Another is Tilray. So AFIA reported earnings. I did share that in the Discord, in the earnings section. They missed on revenues and on profit per share. And Tilray is getting hit along with AFIA, APHA. If you were to look at both charts, they pretty much look identical. But I like the Tilray move, so I kind of want to trade Tilray. You could trade either or. It's probably they're probably going to trade very, very similar. So if Tilray breaks the pre-market low of like 18 bucks, I'm going to go in for the short and throw my stops at 18.60. So I'm only going to risk 60 cents on the trade. But if Tilray gets bought up, I want to see it break out of 18.60. Then you could just flip the idea, throw your stops at 18, and go from there. So on the daily chart, what I like about Tilray, we had that massive run up to like $67, $68. Remember back in February? And look at it, it's just been fading its way back down. If Tilray breaks the pre-market low, there's really no support until like 15 and change, and then after that it's 200-day moving average, which is at $12.50 at the moment. So that's why I like Tilray, because if they continue to just dump it, I think Tilray could really get hurt. So that's my idea with Tilray, and this is going to be an A-list stock for me. So I went over IRTC, Tilray, Alibaba. I'm going to watch Tesla. Tesla came out, Canaccord Genuity came out with a price target upgrade. It is gapping up, not significantly, but pretty much if I see Tesla break out of like the 689 range, I'll go long, throw my stops at 684, 685. If it breaks 684, 685, I'll go in for a short. Really nice consolidation on Tesla. I think the risk is pretty small given today's pre-market action. Another name I want to watch is PBTS. They came out with some news that they have like a partnership with Huawei, small cap stock. So the way I see it, pretty simple. If it breaks out of the $4.13 range, we can go long, put our stops at $4. Super small risk. If you want to give it more room, throw your stops at $3.80. If it fails $3.80, and let's just say that it just fades away, then you can look to short it if you can. One other name, I'm gonna keep an eye on Mara and Riot, just because Bitcoin is running pretty hot, and I'm looking at the time and I have to pass it on to Taj. But those are other names I'm gonna keep an eye on. So that's my A list. So Taj, let me pass it on to you, bro.
Yeah, so I'll just piggyback off of that, the Mara and Riot idea. So obviously Bitcoin's catching a nice rally. It's consolidating up here. Right at the highs, I believe last time I checked, Bitcoin was trading at $60,372. So it's about $1,000 away from the all-time high, which can happen at any moment. So obviously keeping that in mind, Bitcoin had a nice rally through the weekend. You see Mara and Riot both doing the same. Riot closed yesterday, or actually Friday, at 49.60. It's gapping up to about 52.50, so nearly 3 points. So if Bitcoin starts to really pick up momentum, just keep an eye on Riot. It's not something probably I'll just be looking to day trade out of the gates. However, if Riot or Mara really start to pick up steam, we see Bitcoin hitting highs, definitely keep an eye on Riot and Mara, because I think there's a lot of potential with these names if the rally continues.
Right.
Another name to watch, SOS. So SOS, some news actually just came out right as we started the pre-market analysis, and pretty much they're looking to, they have interest on 3 US-based power plants to expand crypto mining operations in North America. So because of that, SOS was trading down here at 530, I believe. As it was trading from 535, 540, Alex pretty much mentioned the news, and this thing's been on a tear since then. Traded as high as 568, and now we're getting some consolidation here. So this is good. This is good that it's not just continuously rallying up right before the market open. We're getting some type of basing action happen here. So what I would like to see is SOS continue to trade here, and out of the gates, if we can get a pop up to 569, 570, we can look for a long and throw our stops around 550. If I'm looking at the chart on SOS, there's really no resistance until about 620, 617. So you, in theory, would need, if you're risking about 20 cents, you would need at least a 1-to-1, in order for it to make a favorable trade. In this case, you're dealing with, a 2-to-1 in this case. So it'll be an excellent trade out of the gates if SOS is strong out of the gates. So definitely keep an eye on this. The volume is very heavy on it. When the news initially came out, both candlesticks did about 1.3 million shares, and you're still doing about 500,000 shares on these candlesticks. So I think this is going to be very active for the day trading community. Another name I want to keep an eye on is actually PLTR. I'm sure you guys know how much I despise PLTR, but the volume's pretty good during the pre-market, and I really like the technical setup it's having. If you look back at Apple and kind of how it behaved, Microsoft, Facebook, PLTR is almost having the same type of behavior occur, along with like Tesla. Tesla would be another prime example, where you've kind of been, having some snake-like action, just ping-ponging back and forth between these price levels here on the daily chart. But what I like about PLTR is over the past nearly 2 weeks, PLTR has been trading between 2260 and about 2460. But now, today's the day that we're getting that gap up above that price zone. It's gapping up to about 2480 was the pre-market high, currently at 2460. So in my mind, I'm thinking if PLTR can break out above that 2480, you really have a clean move up through $25, $25.70, $25.80 before you run into any type of resistance. If it breaks that, you're looking at the upper Bollinger Band around 2650. So PLTR, I didn't see any particular news related to it, other than it was mentioned kind of in the Wall Street bets, one of the most mentioned stocks. So just keep an eye on it. The volume, like I said, during pre-market has been solid. Not outrageous, but I like a lot of the pre-action that's going on right now. It looks like it's gearing up for a run, bouncing right off, holding that 8MA on the daily chart as support. And today is the day that we're clearly gapping above that 20-period moving average. So let's see if we can have this stock hold and continue that rally. I'll also be keeping an eye on a lot of the tech names. As we know, tech has been pretty much the strongest industry over the past week. That was pretty much the theme all last week. A lot of tech stocks getting a nice rally, some even hitting all-time highs such as Microsoft and Facebook. And then Apple breaking out of that key zone that we talked about around 128. And we talked about that, Apple potentially being a nice swing if it could really hold that level. And Apple is still pretty strong today. It is pulling back a little bit, 30 cents, but nothing too crazy. The only concern that I do have on Apple is the RSI. The daily RSI is at 66.72. But I do think there's a chance that it could have one more rally in it before it really starts to pull back. So what I would like to see Apple is break out above that high, which is 133.04. I would personally like to see it break that before I really start looking at some longs. If you would like to get to the party early, 132.75 is currently where it's flagging. You can throw your stops around 132.50. You're only risking about a quarter on the play, which isn't bad. But after that, there's a little resistance here at 132.88, and then obviously that high above 133.04. So for me, like I said, I would like to see Apple just shoot through that level 133.04, potentially go for a long, and see where this could go. On the daily chart, there's really no resistance until around 136, 135 level. So you have a clear move through 134 without any real resistance. Like I said, no real resistance until 135, 136. So with that, keeping that in mind, definitely want to keep an eye on Apple if the market is strong today. If the market starts to sell off, we could potentially look for a short on Apple if it starts to dip below 132. We'd have to throw our stops around 132.60. But again, that's considering if the market really starts to have a pullback today. Also at tech, I want to keep an eye on Microsoft. Again, it's trading right at its all-time highs. During the close, or on Friday, the all-time high was 255.99. During pre-market session, we did trade as high as 256.70 on very, very low volume. Look at some of these candlesticks. Literally, this candlestick did 300 shares, the one that hit the high. So it was traded extremely, extremely low. But we're pretty much opening a little above Friday's closing price at 255.85. So similar to Apple, if Microsoft starts to break out above those pre-market highs, 256.70, we could definitely look for a long. We'll have to throw our stops maybe around 256 if you want to give it some room. 256.30, right around that 8MA if you'd like to keep it tight. But definitely keep an eye on Microsoft if it can continue the rally. The daily RSI is at 69.1, so we are starting to enter overbought territory here soon. I think, obviously if Microsoft continues that rally today, we are going to start entering into overbought territory. But it's okay, right? As long as it doesn't start to shoot up through 73, 74, 75, 80, it shouldn't be too much of a concern. I know someone mentioned ears, eyes. That was also a stock that I was watching. I was looking for news on it. There was no particular news on it. It looks like a momentum play from Friday and Thursday, but the momentum looks good. Currently trading around, the pre-market high was 550. It's currently at 530, and the volume looks good. Volume looks really good. It's doing about anywhere between 100,000 to 500,000 shares per candlestick. So this is another small cap that you can watch. The most recent highs here from the current levels that we're at is about $6, $6.25. It hit back in last month, and then in December 1st, it hit 660. So keep an eye on it. If ears really starts to pick up momentum, breaks out of 550 level, we could go long. You could absolutely go long. There are stops around 510, giving it about 40-cent risk on the play, which is quite a bit of risk for a stock like this, a $5 stock. But if it's going to continue this momentum, possibly even test that high of $6, there's really no telling where the stock could go, considering, it's one of the more active low cap stocks.
The news on ears, Taj, by the way, is a patent. A patent was granted by the United States Trademark Office, so that's why it's popping.
Gotcha. Okay, and that was released today.
Yeah, that was this morning.
Okay, gotcha. Yep. All right, perfect. Well, there we have a news catalyst as well, along with ears. So, with that being said, that's pretty much going to be my watch list today. I'm primarily going to be watching SOS out of the gates. Ears, I want to look at the small caps pretty heavily, and I'll obviously be watching a lot of the tech stocks and Baba as well.
All right. Well, for everyone on YouTube, thanks for tuning in, guys. We're gonna hop off. The market's about to open in less than a minute, and we'll see y'all later.